So it's that time of the year. There's tryouts coming up, and you want to make the team. Coach O is here to give you guys some details, some tips and tricks for you to be able to make the team. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Project 365 experience.
What's up, guys? It's Coach O. Really happy to be back, giving you guys the visual. Some of you guys are following us on YouTube. Welcome. Some of you guys are going to be following us on the podcast. Welcome to you too. And today's discussion is going to be based on a discussion that I had with certain people on Twitter, and it struck up a lot of conversation. So I decided to come make a video for you guys. By all means, if you haven't already followed, subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit the sub button right below. And we're also on TikTok. We're on we on Snapchat. We on everything. Facebook, Instagram, everything at Coach O365. So let's get into today's discussion. So as mentioned previously, early September, usually what happens is that teams want to start making their squads. You start going through situations where you're wondering, how can I make the team? Or what is a team looking for? Or you're going to a new environment and you're really trying to make a great first impression. So this started off on Twitter, and we basically talked. We made I made a little thread, and the thread was, I made it, and my thread basically said, the season is about to start, and players are going to have to go to tryouts and make their teams. So I said I could give 5 tips that I think we're going to be able to help to be able to make the team. So let's dive into some of those things. Okay, so number 1, I think a lot of time the mindset going into tryouts is you think you have to outdo your opponents. You think you have to do more than what you actually worked on. Tip number 1, keep it simple. Okay? Just make good decisions with the basketball, move the ball, and play team basketball. And I think this is one that goes very overlooked, because you got to tell yourself this: playing in the game is not the same thing as practicing. So if you start doing things that you don't actually or have never practiced, you're actually going to look bad, because versus competition, a lot of the times the things that you think you can do become a little bit harder, especially if you haven't put in the reps to be able to master that certain skill. Okay. So you want to be able to keep it simple to tryouts, move the ball, team basketball, rebound, think as a unit, as a team. If the coach was to take you, he can kind of see you being productive, playing with others. Okay. Number 2, the hustle plays count. And here I'm talking about diving for loose ball, rebounding, getting deflections, any 50-50 basketballs that you can get, try to get them. Because over the span of a season, and one thing that I've learned, especially last year, is the more 50-50 battles you win in a game, ultimately that might end up being the differential towards you winning by 6 or losing by 2, right? So everything you do right from the jump matters. Okay. So you want to be somebody that the coach knows that if you go into, you're going to be able to get into your full effort, and you're going to be able to win certain possessions for the team and whatnot. Okay. Number 3, this is something that's something like you gotta. So when I say understanding and studying the game, I think part of it too is you have to know what team you're going into, what team you're trying out for. Do they have returning players? Do they have some players that are playing a certain position? Is there a lack of, are they missing something in a certain spot? And it's something that you can bring. And I'm going to give you guys an example for me. So I remember my first year that I went to tryout at Vanier, I got cut. And I think part of it was me trying to do too much. Um, too much. I tried to do too much and not specialize in anything. Okay. So I was doing a lot of good things well, but the coach already had so many players coming back. There was no real need to have me there. Right. So what I did was during that year, what I did is that I went to every Vanier game. I was sitting in the side. I was just watching. I was like, okay, there's certain players that don't defend the post really well. Okay, they're not rebounding. They're not giving effort. Okay, good. That's something that I could bring. Okay, the mid range pull up. Okay, they have a lot of 3-point shooters. They have a lot of guys finish at the rim. But the mid range, back then the mid range was actually a good shot, right? So I'm like, okay, the mid range, nobody's really shooting that mid range. Okay, good. Um, Boom. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna bring, and I started really trying to study with the team that I was gonna go into. So now, come next tryout, I walked into that knowing that nobody in that tryout was going to do what I was going to bring better than me. So I was guarding, I was giving energy, I was diving on the floor, I was defending multiple position, right? Especially in today's game, being able to defend multiple positions is great. Um, I was out rebounding, offensive rebound, putbacks, and things like that. And it's just like it became, and I ended up making the team that second time. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this is a lot of times, like, you think you need the ball to be effective. Oh man, if I, you think, oh man, if I don't get the ball, man, how am I going to show what I can? But using my mindset, I knew there was a lot of players that could create their own shots, that were going to take their own shots. So what I started doing is I said, okay, if they're all going to shoot it, I'm just going to go get the ball off the glass. And now I'm able to be an asset to a team without coach ever having to run plays for me. And now through that, now the coach is able to say, okay, this guy could kind of fit with what we're trying to do, right? So just being understand that there is a fit, and a lot of times there is a certain structure put into play, and you have to figure out how you can fit into that structure without sacrificing too much of what your strength is. Okay. And number four, this is the big one. Okay. Be in shape. Conditioning. You would be surprised at how much conditioning really plays a factor in you making the team, you showcasing your talent, etc. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go the whole summer coming to tryouts and not be in shape. Okay. And it's funny because we're in the middle of training camp right now at Orangeville. And I told one of my players, I told him, you know what? I had this discussion with him. I said, you know what you got to do to really get the advantage on people? And he was like, what? I said, you have to be ready for training camp. Don't use training camp to get ready as everybody is, because you have to understand that going into it, if you are in shape, what's going to happen is you're going to create that separation from the jump. Right? So a lot of people are going to use training camp, going to be out of shape. It's going to look bad. It's their first time going up and down, right? So now they're getting into shape. If they're going to get into shape and start to raise their level, right? If you're already in shape and you're already here, and now training camp starting, you could continue elevating your game. That gap, that separation, you keep it. Okay. So I think that's a misconception that we have about training camp, is that we think that that's when we should try to get into shape. That's when we need to get back into the flow and everything. And you got to think about it from a coaching standpoint. Your coach is going to use training camp to get you back in shape, right? So as players, you got your team. Maybe if we all come to training camp in shape, maybe we don't do as much running. I don't know. Some coaches might think about it like that. Think about it. Okay. And I'm going to give you guys a bonus. Number five. What I think is almost like a lost art in today's game. This is your bonus. And this is the one that I think I save for the end because I know you guys are really going to benefit from having this one. Okay. If you are a player, right? The number one skill that I think you really need to have in basketball is communication. Now, even when you're tired, and even when you're within yourself, you're trying to survive. You're trying to survive because you're so tired. Are you communicating for the betterment of the team? Right? You're in the gym, right? You're not gonna go far talking like this. It's not going to benefit everybody. Now, if I'm using that voice and now I'm talking loud, and even though I'm tired, I'm able to communicate because, guys, you guys gotta remember, talking while tired is a skill. That's something that not a lot of people talk about, right? Just being able to communicate and things like that. So these things go hand in hand. So now you're going into tryouts, you're going into training camp, you're in shape, and now you could communicate. You're creating that separation right from the jump, right? Because especially when you're talking about defense, that's something that you have to be able to, even when you're tired, you still have to communicate the right things. Talk. Hey, somebody's dropping. Weak side help. Talk. Rotate, right? So what you got to understand is that those two go hand in hand. So I give you that double bonus because a lot of times when you're tired, what happens is that your body goes into survival mode. You're just out there trying to survive. You're not out there trying to make plays, make winning plays. You're not out there trying to communicate the defense. You're not out there doing all these other things because at that moment, you have to be worried about yourself and just making it out there. So maximize your potential out there. Make sure you're in shape, communicate everything, and be an asset to the team. If you take these five tips, I guarantee that you'll be in a better position and you'll set yourself up to be in a really good position to be able to make the team. So that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, if you guys liked, let's continue the discussion. I love the discussion that we have on Twitter. And if there's anything, hit me up on, we have IG, TikTok, Snapchat, right? Like mentioned before. So let's keep the communication going. And of course, sub to this YouTube page for all weekly videos. It's always a blast, man, talking with you guys, having these discussions. And you guys know I could talk basketball all day. So there we go. That's today's and this week's video, this week's episode. Really happy I was able to get this one out to you guys. So this is Coach O signing off. I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace.